Hey guys, my name's Steve Cordony and I'm an interior stylist, and today I'm with Mirvac to show you how to style a kitchen two ways. The first way is going to be this sort of more bold and textural contemporary look, and I want to show you something that's a bit more of an urban luxe look. I want to show you how you can use styling objects and accessories to create a space that's not only really functional, but also that's really aesthetic and well styled. The first thing that I like to do when I'm styling any space is to start with a clean slate. So I'm going to remove all these sort of style elements and objects and build it from the ground up. What I like to do when I'm styling any space is to really look at the materials that have been designed. So we're in this 3-bedroom terrace, there's lots of beautiful natural light, and the textures and the materials and the color palette that's been used is very neutral. So I want to kind of stick with that theme, but I also want to kind of inject some beautiful textural elements, a bit of sort of brass, which is a really nice way to use metallics and accents, and then really kind of give it a sense of life with some fresh greenery. So the color palette that is here is really neutral, which is great, and I like that it's sort of tone on tone. So we've got a grey kind of concrete splashback, we've got these beautiful cabinets, and we've got this really graphic shelving unit, which is a great tool to kind of use for objects and styling accessories, which not only can be functional, but also look really styled. Okay, so the first piece that I'm going to style is this sort of graphic display storage shelving unit, which is a really great tool to not only introduce some great objects and styling sort of ceramics, but also my ultimate styling layering tool, books. So even when you're choosing the books of what to kind of use within your space, you want to look at what color palette you're putting out there and choose respective sort of colors and tones so everything talks. So everything from small accessories, objects, books, cushions, soft furnishings, everything should have this overall color palette. So just as you would style any sort of coffee table or smaller vignette or kind of styled moment, what I like to do is keep things in groups of 3, but also think about 3 different heights. So what we have here is the books, which gives us another platform. Then I put a beautiful ceramic vase on top. So that's one unit. Then I've got a beautiful sort of charcoal tone vase. And then I've got these beautiful ceramic plates, which I'm just gonna sit next to this vase. And then I'm gonna move this over just so we've got this sort of little vignette happening, which is just basically a cluster or grouping of beautiful objects. So now that we have our beautiful display cabinet styled really well in a really kind of monochromatic neutral palette, what I want to do is do the same, but introduce more sort of functional pieces, but in a really styled way. So again, we want to keep things quite neutral, and art is a really great way to introduce personality and life into a space. It also helps you create a really graphic contrast against the splashback. So what I'm going to do is sort of sit that and just literally rest it against the splashback, and then I'm going to bring in 2 more ceramic pieces to create a little vignette on the left-hand side. So again, what we want to do here is think about those 3 different heights. So a beautiful textural jug, which again is quite earthy and quite neutral, but it has a really beautiful glaze with this sort of more organic form. So it's a really nice way not only to inject some beautiful sort of textural qualities, but it just works in terms of the overall palette. So what we've got is sort of our high, our medium, and then our low point. And again, these are functional, practical things. We can use the jug for water, we can put fruit in these bowls, but everything sort of tells a story and has its own sort of little sense of personality. So now what I want to do is inject some more everyday items that we always need and use. Chopping boards are a great way to, again, create that kind of contrast like we're doing over here with the artwork. So we want a bit of asymmetry, so not everything is on the same plane. We're just going to rest it up on this side wall, and that's just a really nice way to create the vignette on this right-hand side. Now that we have the back of our kitchen beautifully styled, which incorporates some really beautiful textural pieces that are also sort of functional, what we're going to do now is to create some drama on this sort of front island bench. What I want to do is incorporate some large, tall scale greenery, which is one of my favorite styling tools, not only to inject a sense of life, but also to draw the eye upward to create this verticality. So I'm going to use these leaves, not only because they're quite tall, and again, they're going to draw the eye upwards, but also because they last a bit longer than fresh cut flowers, which is a really nice way to kind of keep the kind of front kitchen island bench really well styled. So with these tall leaves, what I like to do is basically just get rid of the lower limbs. So if we've got a nice sort of clean stem to put into the water, and that's going to make them last even longer. And you just want to sit them in the vase. Don't have to be too precious about it, but you also want to make sure that you view the vase from all the sides that are going to be seen to make sure that it looks balanced. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to introduce to the kitchen is a beautiful bowl. Because we have this sort of large scale island, what I want to do is to create, some drama. Again, like we've got the height and the verticality with this vase, I want to create some drama and a bit of contrast against the stone bench top. So crisp white, and then all I'm going to do is fill it with some fresh fruit. Now, because the terrace is quite an open plan downstairs, we've got dining and then living. What I want to do is introduce some bar stools, but again, because this palette within this overall space is quite neutral, grey, white, black, with some elements of blue, what I thought I'd go with is just a really simple grey fabric bar stool. And that's just a really nice way. Again, we've got the graphic leg, which is going to tie in with the graphic display shelf. Then you can see that all those elements that you've chosen, everything works together, but not everything is entirely the same. Okay, so there we have kitchen look number one, which is bold, textural, and contemporary. And what we've done is work with the base of the beautiful materiality and color palette of the actual kitchen design, but just enhance that and bring in some textural elements and objects that are not only really well styled and interesting pieces to look at, but that are also really functional. For me, getting that balance right of sort of some well styled moments and creating those little vignettes and clusters of groupings of things is a really nice way to create an overall look, which is going to flow on to the rest of the interior, but also have its own sense of personality. So now for look number two, we're in a very similar style kitchen with the same materiality, but it's on a 5th floor apartment. So what I want to do is introduce and create a style that's more urban luxe. And the best way to do that is to introduce a pop of color. And for me, this sort of rust tone is a really nice way to introduce a sort of earthy feel, which I think works perfectly here being in the inner city. Just by introducing this beautiful rust tone, we've transformed this space, which is a really earthy, neutral base to work with, but we've introduced some organic forms and shapes to create this urban luxe feel. Just by introducing this one pop of color, that's given us a style to work with. So even all the accessories, whether it's something beautiful and decorative, or even those practical, functional, everyday items like crockery, cutlery, glassware, even those pieces we've kept in mind with this earthy sort of organic feel. We want to look holistically around the whole space to make sure that everything works together. And choosing these key, beautiful, decorative items is really going to elevate the space and introduce your own personality to the overall interior.